And so that kind of stuff intrigues me. Whenever I see outlier performance, whenever I see excellence, whenever I see somebody doing something that is running in the opposite direction of mediocrity, which in itself is going 90 miles an hour to nowhere, I take notes, because there's got to be something I can learn there.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Dan Ball and welcome to another episode of the Wellness Academy podcast. On our show here at the Wellness Academy, it is my job to distill all things wellness and attempt to break down from all our different coaches, experts and guests their wisdom and knowledge so you can apply it to your own life. Our guest today is a massively exciting guest for me. Our guest today is Peter Sage. I kind of don't know where to start to introduce Peter to you guys if you're not sure who he is, but the simplest thing might be to type his name into YouTube and check out just a handful of the outstanding videos that you can find on there to get an idea of who Pete is. He's a serial entrepreneur who has started over 20 companies since he was 17 years old. He's an author, a multiple-time podcast guest on podcasts such as London Real and more, and his TED Talks and views on YouTube now amass in the millions of views. His clients around the world have included NASA, Google, and members of royal families from across the planet. He is a qualified trainer for Robbins Research International and used to deliver Tony Robbins seminars, again, across the world on a regular basis. He's an active fundraiser and philanthropist, and not only is he an outstanding businessman, entrepreneur, and life coach, he's a fantastic athlete as well, having competed in several marathons, including the formidable 250-kilometer Marathon des Sables, which is widely recognized as one of the toughest foot races in the world. We had an outstanding conversation today, short and sweet and packed full of useful tips, information, tactics, routines, and really, some of Pete's best advice. Something else for you guys to check out if you want to listen to Pete more or hear more from Pete, if you head to getpetersbook.com, he's actually offering his most recent Amazon bestseller, The Inside Track, for free if you guys just cover the shipping costs. So that was getpetersbook.com. I really hope that you guys enjoy this massively. I know that I did. So if you do, give it a like, give it a subscribe, a follow, a review, wherever it is that you're going to listen. It will be on all platforms, and enjoy. So, Peter Sage, welcome to the Wellness Academy podcast. Let me take a moment to sincerely thank you very, very much for being with us. I know that you're taking time out of an ultra busy schedule to sit and talk with me. So thank you for coming on and talking with me.
No, welcome, Dan. It's good.
I did some research about your bio, and I'm sure there are a few things that I can maybe let the listeners know, but I was hoping you'd be able to take a moment just to give us the career highlights, or what you think the best bio of yours is. Let our listeners know who you are if they're a little oblivious and they don't already know Peter Sage.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, not a huge amount to highlight, but I'll give you the cliff notes. Dropped out of school at 16, started my first business at 17, really fell into the role of being an entrepreneur for the last 30 years, including a huge amount of success and failure in business as part of the game. But more importantly, at the same time, age 17, I came across personal growth. And personal growth for me and self-improvement and working on being the best version of yourself is really what's given me way more success than learning business skills. And so really that's what I do a lot now, is I share a lot of the lessons and the insights into human behavior as to why we do what we do and why we live in a time of such abundance, but most people live in abject poverty, both mentally, emotionally, as well as financially. And really just try to help people by holding up a mirror so they can recognize their own greatness.
Amazing. And I always like it when you use that particular phrase, that you hold up a mirror so that people can recognize their own greatness, rather than this idea that you instill it in them or anything like that, right?
If you're relying on something outside of yourself at any point, you're at a disadvantage.
Brilliant. Okay. So looking back on some of the things that that you've done that I was amazingly impressed with, the number one thing that stood out, because I'd kind of forgotten that this was something that you did, but you ran the Marathon des Sables.
Yeah, I did. Not something I would recommend to anybody else, to be fair.
I know. And I think, I can't remember if it was you that told me this or a couple of our mutual friends in Rob Spencer and Ryan Phillips. But the story I remember hearing, and you can tell me if this is true, is that you were, I don't know how far into the marathon. For those people that don't know, I wrote down, so it's 250 kilometers, correct?
Yeah, that's as the crow flies, but obviously you're going over sand dunes and some of the tallest dunes in North Africa. One was the size of the BT Tower in London. And yeah, and of course you're doing deep sand, soft sand, burning temperatures at 50 Celsius down to freezing at night. You're carrying all of the kit you need for the race, including all of your food, equipment, everything else, so about 20, 25 kilos on your back. And not only that, but water is rationed to 9 liters a day. That's what's handed out. So that's for washing, cooking, hydrating, and running 26.2 miles across the toughest terrain in the world. So it's all about strategy. It's about management, energy management, water management, heat management, and it's quite the in a fit of athletic insanity, something I decided to do.
And the story I heard, again, I don't know how far through the marathon you were. You were, I think, struggling would be the word. And I believe a gentleman ran past you who was blind and had a kind of a guide. And you sat there and went, wow, okay, like time to carry on. Is that right? Have I butchered that story?
Not as badly as some people have, but it's all good. It was a case of, it was the day of the double marathon. Day 4 on the Marathon des Sables is double marathon day, which is an 84-kilometer stage or a 52 mile stage. And bear in mind, you've already ran the best part of 100 miles at this point. Yeah, so you're running non-stop for again best part of 84 kilometers, and it was a time where I woke up with food poisoning because I tried to save water the night before by not hydrating my food enough, and it backfired. It didn't hydrate properly. It was all like globally, but at that point you don't care. You'd eat the spoon and the packet if you could. You're burning 10,000 calories a day but putting in 2. So yeah, for me it was a case of just making sure that I tried to manage my energy as much as possible, and as a result of that I messed up. So I had sickness, diarrhea, food poisoning, and that was the start of a day where I had to run 84 kilometers across the desert. And I struggled, obviously. I managed to, I wasn't able to run for the first several hours. I was trying to trudging, and by the end of the first day, as the sun was setting and it was starting to get cold, which means you kind of had to run to keep warm. I think I'd covered 30 miles that day, and I'd got another 20 miles to run through the night. And I basically quit. I basically sat down, thought, that's it. It was just as the sun was going down. And it was that moment when I looked up and I heard this kind of trudging through the sand, and I saw this blind Korean guy that was tied at the wrist to his guide. And he was a competitor. He was in his late 60s. I mean, this was a pensioner, not an athlete. And again, I'm a student of human behavior. Why would somebody who can't even see where to place their feet on some of the toughest ground that we'd ever ran on, with stones and waddies and dried riverbeds and salt flats and dunes and all of this stuff, where if you get your one step wrong, you twist and you sprain an ankle. We're not running on a running track here. This is open desert. What possesses somebody the will, let alone the ability, to be able to go do that when he's clearly not an athlete?
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff intrigues me. Whenever I see outlier performance, whenever I see excellence, whenever I see somebody doing something that is running in the opposite direction of mediocrity, which in itself is going 90 miles an hour to nowhere, I take notes, because there's got to be something I can learn there. We're all made of the same stuff. You've got the same biochemistry, the same 2 arms, 2 legs that most of us have. The only difference is how running a business versus Richard Branson running a business. There's no difference other than how you think. Everything follows that. So I saw this guy and I'm like, wow, what's going on in his mind? I need to know, because I couldn't do that. It was my projection. Yeah, I was in damn good shape. I've been training for several months for this, and even so, you can never really prepare. But yeah, I didn't think I could do that. So what could I learn? And that's where most people fall down. They look at something and they, instead of saying, what could I learn? They go, wow, they're amazing. They must be lucky. They're gifted. I couldn't do that. So anyway, I went up and I found out the reason through his guide, who was his translator. I found out that several years before, his brother had died of cancer. And every single year, he ran this race to raise money for the hospice that had looked after his dying brother.
He ran the Marathon des Sables every year?
Every year, to raise money for his a cause that helped his dying brother. And that was what I said, wow. And the thing that hit me the most, Dan, was the reminder that we do so much for ourselves. We do so much more for a cause greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'd made this about me. I'd made this about me being able to run the race, my ego being able to conquer something that would give me significance, all of that stuff, me trying to push my limits. And that got me as far as sitting on a rock about to quit. And it was a huge lesson.
Yeah, amazing. And you did complete it all, of course, in the end.
Me to finish that day. In fact, there's a clip on Eurosports where they catch me running and finishing the actual finish line of the double marathon where I ran in. It was 7 o'clock the next morning, and I was so inspired on the last mile when the sun was coming up for the start of the next day, and I actually finished the last mile out of the 52 miles in under 7 minutes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was a sprint, and I literally just collapsed with a massive smile on my face. And next thing I know, there's a camera sort of shoved in me asking questions. It's a cool little clip, actually.
What was your recovery like after that?
After that day, or after the race?
In general, like were you broken for a long time? Were there, did you have to have specific really heavy duty sports massage therapy or physiotherapy or anything to recover from what is a colossal ordeal, or did you sort of get up, shake it off, and carry on?
Your body's being trained to run a marathon every day. Yeah, so at the end of like 7 days, it's expecting to get up and run a marathon again. Now, there's wear and tear, but we're capable of so much more than what we give ourselves credit for. And for me, the part that was most interesting was when we'd finished and we were out in the middle of the desert and we're being bussed back to civilization from the finish line, all happy and everything else. And the doctor comes on the coach and says, listen, when you get to the hotel, you're going to be tempted to want to eat a lot. Because we were vaporizing calories at 50 feet. I mean, it's like, the bodies are like just consuming machines because you get off immediately. And he says, but don't be tempted to do that because you'll probably be sick. And it's like an anorexic going to an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like, it's not the way to reintroduce the kind of food into the system. And so I get back to the hotel, I dive on the bed, I grab a room service menu, I order everything I can find in English, and they bring it all to the room. And my buddy's there says, the doc says you're going to be sick. I'm like, I don't care. I'll be bulimic for the day. I just want to eat. And I ate everything. There was club sandwich, frigging steak sandwich, frigging ice cream, beer. I mean, I was sick as a dog.
Oh no! But worth it
at the time. But afterwards, it was about 2 weeks afterwards to 3 weeks afterwards that my metabolism was so high that I could eat colossal amounts and it wouldn't even touch my frame. I lost, I think it was about 27 pounds over the week, close to 30 pounds, close to about 2 stone.
Wow.
A week running that race. And it took a while to get that back on, no matter what I was eating, because the body was just amped up. It's like bang. Okay. Yeah. So, but there was no major recovery needed.
Amazing. I had lots of things written down, and one of them, I guess it kind of ties into what we just said. I've been reading, shameless plug for you, been reading that. It's been fantastic to read so far. A mixture of things that I used to know and do and have fallen out of the habit of doing and have been given a bit of a mental slap, come on, Dan, you used to do that. combined with amazing insights and things that I didn't know, or little additions to things that I did that really enhanced my learning, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that stood out in there that you only touch on briefly, because it's far from the most important thing that you're discussing in the book, but given what you just said, was you do like health seminars. And I know in them, or at least for me personally, there were things that you said in the book and touched on that my brain went, really? And I've begun to learn that when you say that in the arena of life that you operate in and that I enjoy being in, when your brain goes, really, it's an opportunity to really learn and be told something new and exciting. Could you sort of touch on some of the main things that you cover in your health seminars? For example, one bit I remember was mention of certain incredible percentage increases in strength very quickly, and not based on 6 months of trying to do deadlift, squats and bench every day.
No, yeah, you're referencing the health and vitality seminar that I used to teach once a year for my Master Circle clients. So we'd go away for a week, and I think the first time we did it was in the Bahamas. Last time we did it was on one of the islands in Croatia, and it's an incredible seminar where we focus on health and vitality, because health and vitality are two different things. You can be very healthy, but vitality is the energy that's abundant for you to grab hold of life with and tango.
Yeah.
But the way that I approach it is quite different to most people, because it's broken into 3 sections. Each is 2 days long. Okay. And we get up, the trainers, there's 3 trainers, myself being one of them. And we also, what we do is we train at 6 a.m. And if anybody wants to come and see how we train, on how we teach, they're welcome to, but most of them are grateful of the extra hour sleep. But we start at 7 o'clock with a meditation, smoothie, and then 4 hours in the classroom where I teach what I teach. We then go do the practical application in the gym. For a couple of hours. Then we have lunch, and then the afternoon is usually some wow factor, surprise, kind of life-changing, cool stuff that, we go like, swimming with dolphins, or, off on adventures, or, surprise, trips that I do. Yeah. But the content itself is what's critical. And the first 2 days, I focus on the physical aspect of health, which is where 99% of all personal trainers, gyms, supplements, all of that's what they focus on. And it's, primary for most people, but it is the least effective and efficient.
Okay.
Right. And what I mean by that is, well, the first thing I teach them is all of the hacks and the most optimal way of using physical health. So the body transformation system I teach is very intense in terms of, low reps, high weights, and there's a certain structure that we build around that, whereby the average workout is 15 minutes long. The longest is chest and back, which is 20 minutes. The shortest is legs, which is my famous 7-minute leg workout, which I
think I've heard about this.
Yeah. And we teach that. I teach if you want to go from scratch to running a marathon in under 4 hours in 3 months training, I teach you how to do that. And it's all down to that particular stuff is down to how do you use your nose when breathing.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's the physical side, and we benchmark everything. I'm not into hype. I'm not into guessing. As a personal trainer, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So every single rep in the gym, every max point, everything's tracked. The next 2 days, we move into the mental and emotional focus of health. Which most personal trainers aren't qualified to understand. Yeah. But the fact remains that your mind is your best or your worst training partner. And how you do the workout, the quality of the workout is very often decided before you walk in that gym, by who walks in that gym. Mm-hmm. And we all have different aspects to our personality. So drawing on the 4 major archetypes of the human personality, which have been written about for centuries. They show up in every Hollywood film, every part of mythology. And that is, you have the sovereign or the king, the magician, you have the warrior, and you have the lover. Now, each part of those are archetypes or energies of the human personality. Mm-hmm. Which personality do you think you want in the gym? Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. Which personality do you think you want in the gym when it's time to hit the weights?
The warrior.
100%. You do not want the lover on my 7-minute leg workout. Trust me. Right? So most people don't know how to call or summon that energy on demand. They don't know how to associate that energy so that it's in charge. They don't know how to build an identity around that.
Okay.
Yeah. A name, a posture, a breathing pattern, a stance, a mentality, a self-talk, a tonality. All of that combines into who you are as the warrior. So that when it's time, when it's game time, it's time to get the game face on, you walk in there, boom. Yeah, and that's like an active meditation. How does the warrior neurocode pain to food? In other words, if pain is what feeds the warrior, if what the warrior is craving is that muscle failure, that pushing past the limit where the muscle fibers like claps, which sends the message to the brain saying, hey, dude, time to get stronger.
Yeah.
Let's recruit amino acids out of the diet. Let's shortcut that. Let's go for growth hormone. Yeah. However, whatever to get to that stage, the lover is going to avoid it. The magician is going to figure out an excuse so you don't have to get there. Yeah. The sovereign can go there, but it's not his job.
Okay.
Yeah. The warrior, what if you could feel all of those starting reps as kind of appetizer, but what you really want is that intense, deep, muscular, challenging pain. That's what I'm talking about. If you could neurolink in the brain food or excitement or joy or fulfillment or significance or having all of your needs met through that, and that's what you're hunting for, not avoiding or not battling against, you're seeking it.
Yeah.
The warrior is going hunting for the enemy, not trying to avoid them. You get the idea. So you get your mental emotional side in there, and you'll see strength go up 10-15% over your previous numbers, because now you have the will to be able to dig deeper than you were previously.
Yeah.
So there's an aspect of being able to trigger biochemistry and support. So the next 2 days, the final 2 days, we focused on the really cool stuff. And that's where we literally go into quantum mechanics and we start to understand that this is a virtual simulation. We are literally living in the Matrix, although not the Hollywood version of it where it's kind of good, evil agents and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is a virtual reality for a reason, which is teaching us how to essentially grow up and become better versions of ourselves. But there are ways where you, as consciousness, can sidestep the physical reality rule set to an extent. You can hack. Yeah, if we are in a computer game, then you're bound by the rules of that game. Yeah, if you're in World of Warcraft, the elf can't jump 20 feet in the air because it's not part of the rule set, just like you and I can't jump 20 feet in the air because of how the rule set is constructed when you understand bones and muscle density and gravity and all of that. But to the computer or to the programmer that knows how to overwrite and bend some of the rules, there's a way to be able to hack the physical reality subset. Yeah. And so when you are able to tune in using consciousness to borrow strength from a future version of yourself and bring it into today's reality and actually see results go up at that level. So how is that possible? Well, it's not possible from within the confines of the subset, which is why you need to learn. Why do you think we meditate when we first come in?
Okay.
Why do you think meditation has a higher impact on your immune system than taking vitamin C? 20 minutes a day will raise, immunoglobulin 1, one of the actual primary markers of the immune system. If you know how to meditate effectively rather than just play mental hamster wheel games, as most people do. If you know how to do that effectively, 20 minutes a day over a week's period, you can raise your IGF-1 by 20%.
Wow.
Just connecting to gratitude.
Yeah.
Feeling and becoming part or sensing the energy of the machine and blending with that as consciousness. So that when you're raising the weights, it's like raising your arm.
Okay.
Trained how to do that. And again, I guarantee, or your money back, as it were, I guarantee a minimum 20% functional strength increase in 5 days or less.
Wow.
And for most people that come on it, that's the low end of the results that they get. and then they continue that for 100% strength increase in 6 weeks is common. You're maxing out
cool.
on a 75K bench press. You'll be maxing out at 150K bench press within 6 weeks if you follow this system from day.
Now I'm hearing all this, and I'm also now thinking back to the fact that you said you used to do this seminar rather than you still do this seminar. Is it something that still goes on?
I actually stopped the Master Circle program last Christmas just because I've moved into a different area of focus right now for my predominantly around my 6-month Elite Mentorship Forum program, which is a far longer transformational system that is just phenomenal, and I enjoy it. But organizing 4 trips a year of bucket list destinations and everything, it's a lot of work right now, and it wouldn't give me time to write my next book, which is also a big focus.
Okay. Well, I literally had planned what I was going to say next, and then you said 3 things, and now I can't think of which one to pick. Okay, let's quickly touch on the book. So the Inside Track was the recent book. You've got another one you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed. I mean, the Inside Track has been widely quoted now as probably one of the most powerful books in personal growth ever written, and it was never designed.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It was never designed. It was designed as private letters. They were never meant for the public. In fact, those letters are what I wrote to my Elite Mentorship Forum and Master Circle students.
I remember Ryan telling me.
Yeah, and for me, it's very humbling because it's changed the lives of virtually everybody who's read the book. If you look at any online review, but there's the next, and we're just about to relaunch that, by the way. And because it's made such an impact, and because my mission is to help people, if you go to getpetersbook.com,
okay,
you can actually get a free copy if you just send me a bit for the shipping.
Wow.
So if you want to push that for the listeners, that's a gift from me.
Yeah, we'll make sure to do so. Because again, I'm not even halfway through, and I don't know if you can see that on the screen, how many folded down pages I've got to revisit and like bookmarking it. Like, it's been, I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite the book. In fact, the audio that goes with it is I work with a top sound engineer.
Okay.
We composed an original music score. There's sound effects throughout the book, and it's me reading it. So you get the voice as I wanted to communicate it.
Whereabouts is that?
It's on Audible. Yeah, or as I say, if you, far better, go to getpetesbook.com, and we do it half price than what Audible does if you get the free plus shipping offer.
Amazing. While I remember, so another thing that our mutual friend Ryan was telling me you do now, and again I might butcher this, but it was a paid subscription that you do that's remote coaching. Is this something you are doing, were doing, are looking to do?
It's fascinating because this is my new self-mastery program, and this is why I've been wanting to go out to the world. I've got so many fans. I'm very blessed around the world that a lot of them, especially in places like Africa, where I've spent a lot of time, they don't have the resources to book a flight, fly to Poland for the Sage Business School, pay £1,000 for the ticket, etc. So I wanted something that was the most affordable, but the highest quality of personal growth in the industry. And so I created the self-mastery program.
Okay.
And part of the self-mastery program, basically, it's every single week you'll get some of my top level content. There's also lots of other stuff, and it's just designed to keep you on track. It's kind of mental health insurance. It's your mental gym subscription. It's your emotional gym subscription membership, and it builds every month into the highest quality personal library that you could ever have. And part of that is the Inside Track companion program. And so what I do is each month we take one of the chapters of the sequence and we do a drill down on it. And I walk you through as the author, holding your hand on the insights and how they could apply to your life. And there's ways to deepen the learning. There's ways to revisit the insights. There's ways to carry this. There's questions and answers. It's an entire program in itself, but it's all part of the self-mastery program as a bundle, if you like, as an addition.
Yeah.
And we let people try it. The first month is free. And then I was told to charge £299 a month for it because of the quality of the content. I made it $39. Yeah, I want everybody to be able to have, which is about the same as a gym membership, but you'll get more out of this because you're not operating at the physical world. You're operating at what causes the physical world.
And this is online at?
Yeah, if you right now. So if you grab the book, you'll be offered a free month membership. But if you wanted to bypass that, we soft launched it recently, and we had 100 people dive straight in as a test. And I think petersage.com/self is a way you could sign up.
Amazing. I shall have a look when we come off the call, I'm sure. Amazing. So as we approach kind of halfway, 2/3 of our conversation today, again, thank you so much for doing this for us. You and I conversed briefly leading up to the podcast. You gave us, or gave me, should I say, kind of 3 things that you were passionate to talk about at the moment. And I think we've touched on a couple of those. So I was hoping you might touch on what you described as personal rituals linked to discipline, connected to values.
Yeah. See, we are creatures of habit. 95% of the time, we are in a state that I call sleeping awake. We're running automated patterns based on how our biology and evolution has helped us grow. Because we're designed to use the neocortex to make intelligent executive decisions on whether something serves us or whether it doesn't. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, there's a lot of influence on us using that to justify making decisions that don't serve us. For example, would you like fries with that? So the way biology and evolution is set up is that if we make the same decision over and over, then it hands all of the decision-making process over to the midbrain, which basically runs all of the automated nervous system and all of the autonomic nervous system and a lot of where our habits are. Mm-hmm. So the hand you pick up to cough with is the same hand every time. You don't have to think about which one should I use, which is closer to my mouth. No, you've got better things to think about to make decisions with. We don't need to take up critical computer power when that can be handed over to an algorithm.
Okay.
Right? Now, the problem is our decisions and behaviors that form the habits are led by our values. And you will always make time to meet the needs that are connected to your values.
Yeah.
If you value health, you'll always find time to work out. If you don't value health, you won't. You'll find an excuse not to work out because something else is more important. Mm-hmm. If you value relationships, you'll always find time to be with your partner. If you value work more than relationships, you'll find a way to excuse your partner for working late in the office. So that's down to our values. Most people don't even know what their values are because they've never looked at it. Not consciously. They've been adopted by programming from other people in our peer group most of the time. But discipline is what's required to form habits. And once you form the habits that serve you, if you turn them into rituals, then you've got a massive advantage. My morning routine is a ritual. This morning, I got up, I sat there and I went through my learning. I did all my notes and my meditation. I watched my mind movie. It's a ritual. It's done. It's like getting up and brushing your teeth for most people is a physical ritual. And guess what? That stops their teeth from decaying. But most people get up and they don't brush their mind. And so what happens? Their mind starts to decay. Because they don't have a ritual to do it. Because they were never taught, because there's not a lot of money in you being empowered. There's a lot of money in feeling disempowered to buy somebody's crap that makes you think you can stop being disempowered.
Yeah.
So unless you take charge of that and start putting some new habits in, you'll be sleeping awake forever at the mercy of everybody else's agenda. So for me, it's critical to get important habits in. And the challenge is this: habits that don't serve us often give instant gratification with no immediate downside.
Yeah.
One cigarette doesn't give you cancer. One Big Mac's not going to make you fat. Skipping one salsa lesson isn't going to screw up your ability to dance. Good habits and decisions that form good habits very rarely offer immediate upside, and there's no instant gratification.
Yeah.
Choosing the salad instead of the burger doesn't give immediate gratification, and it isn't suddenly going to make you fit. Going to the gym once isn't going to make you fit. It's going to make you sore.
Yeah.
So you have to understand where the habit curve comes in, and learning how to recognize the body's ability to justify into your emotional state. I'll explain that. Our mind's job is essentially to come up with reasonable excuses that allow us to act in accordance with how we want to feel. So if you're angry, your mind will come up with the excuses as to why it's okay to shout at somebody, why it's okay not to forgive somebody, why it's okay to start a fight, why it's okay to write something on social media that later you regret.
Yeah.
If you're tired and you're feeling fatigue and the alarm goes off, your brain will come up, it's designed to come up with the perfect excuse as to why you should press the snooze button this one time, and why it's going to be okay, and why you'll skip breakfast, whatever it may be. It's designed that way. If you listen to your mind, you're listening to the programming of failure. Not because it was programmed to fail, it's programmed to make you act in accordance with how you want to feel.
Okay.
But we're here in a growth-centric environment, not a comfort-centric environment.
Yeah.
You grow up thinking that life is about how do I get something to make me more comfortable. You will get some usually pretty immediate and progressive feedback from life that ain't the classroom we're in. We're here in Earth School, like it or not. But if you don't have a context for understanding school, what are you going to do? You're going to try to avoid the lessons. You're going to try and think, why is this person making me sit here for an hour listening to crap I don't see value in? Why am I getting this test? Why have I got to run here when I hear the bell? You got no context.
Okay.
Most people don't have context for understanding life or the challenges and why they show up. But if you understand, well, hang on a minute. No, I'm in Earth School. So if your teachers turn around and said, hey guys, great news, don't have to show up for class anymore. Show up when you want. Don't have to do the exams if you don't really want to, or just leave the questions out you're not happy with. Oh, by the way, nobody graduates.
Yeah.
Well, what? If your personal trainer, or you as a personal trainer to your client says, hey, listen, you don't have to show up anymore if you don't want. You can do whatever reps you like. Pick your own weights. It's all good. By the way, that marathon you want to run ain't going to happen. See, when you know you're an athlete and you know you're here to go for gold, you can't keep them out of the gym. You're now proud of the fact you can bust out the last rep and not lift up your arms.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to avoid it, because you have context for understanding why you're here and what your role is. And if you think you're here in a comfort-centric experience of life, you're going to find the path of least resistance and realize that that's not going to serve you. But when you know that we're here to grow so that we can contribute, and everything in nature operates that way, bang, you're getting in the game. You enjoy the workouts. You sit the exam. You relish the challenges.
Yeah. And I think an important message that you've repeated often before, and please correct the way that I say it because you do a much better job than me, but is the idea that life will repeat the lesson until you learn it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's called the law of escalating feedback, which means that life will keep presenting the same lesson, usually with harsher consequences. Again, health is the easiest example. Right? You feel out of breath running up the stairs. Oh, maybe I should shift my diet a little bit. Nah, whatever. I'll ignore it. Oh, now all of a sudden you've got a pain in your chest. Oh, I'll ignore it. I'll get a pill. Next thing, you got a mild heart attack or a stroke. It's like it'll tap you on the shoulder if you're lucky, or it'll whisper in your ear if you're lucky. Then it'll tap you on the shoulder. Then it'll slap you around the face. And then if you're not listening, it'll get a freaking hammer. Yeah. And so we're always getting feedback. One of the best metaphors I can share with you, Dan, is the way I see life. It's like a self-contained kitchen. We have everything we need. We have the ingredients. We have the cooker. We have the utensils. We have the spices, the ingredients. Everything is there. Most people are sitting down saying, but I'm hungry. As if it should be there should be a chef there cooking for them. That's not how it works. You're here to learn how to become a chef. And the feedback is so precise, so beautiful that, if I oversalt the food, guess what? It tastes salty. I can live with that. I get that. That's feedback. If I put the pizza in the oven for too long, I get burnt pizza. Wow, I can work with that. What I can't work with is if I oversalt the food or overcook the pizza and it comes out We've got a perfect feedback system of life that'll tell you when you're oversolding the food. You're not having success in your relationships. Feedback. It needs some other ingredients. Try tolerance, unconditional love, holding a space for somebody rather than projecting your own model of the world. Oh, you're getting overcooked food in terms of your health. Well, maybe it's time to revisit the gym. Maybe it's time to look at what your habits are. Maybe it's time to shift your biochemical relationship to food by breaking some of the addiction to sugar. Hello, it's feedback. Perfect. It's beautiful. It's self-contained. And we should be grateful for every moment we're in this incredible classroom or kitchen.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. One of the things that I've been often, as it's come time to sort of wrap up the podcast with our previous guests, is looking at 3 regular questions with them. Really, so that if during the podcast, which this has not been the case today, there aren't too many actionable takeaways for people, which this has been an amazing nearly 40 minutes as it is. But as you personally learn more and more and more, if you think for people listening in terms of their physical wellness, like how they want to take care of themselves, let's pretend that they are somebody that's got that self-awareness. What would be the first thing that you personally value that you direct them to? What's the first habit to add from a physical perspective to really start taking charge of your life, do you think?
Get a morning routine that serves you.
Okay.
If you're not getting up with the right intention, if you're getting up and reaching for your phone before you reach for your slippers, I got news for you. You're being controlled by the outer world or your reaction to it. If you want to live life on your terms, start setting the foundation or start setting yourself up to win. Are you taking care of yourself physically, or are you currently addicted to drinking coffee or Red Bull for energy rather than water? Are you learning and spending time understanding how to relate to people in a way that lights them up rather than pulls them down to justify your own significance by contrast? Where are your friction points right now? Because that's where the food's tasting salty. That's just feedback. What's not working in your life? Is it finance? Well, then, when was the last time you actually spent some quality time becoming more financially intelligent? Are you spending less than what you earn and investing the rest? Or are you trying to scrape by and justify why you should have instant gratification but no money left at the end of the month? Do you understand how money works? Are you understanding how to put money to work? Or you're just trying to get it because you think having more money will solve your problems, rather than it's giving you bigger problems to worry about?
Okay. So friction points, I like that one. Look for your friction points. They're your opportunities to have less salty food, shall we say.
Yeah, it's, again, perfect feedback.
Cool. At point of recording, we're in, I think it's Mental Health Day today on our recording. And certain things, as I'm sure you're well aware, in popular vernacular are more popular. Mindfulness, meditation, things like that. What has been your go-to, do you think? And I know that you're amazing at managing your mental state, like perfect examples many a time in that book. What would be a great first step for people, do you think, in that context?
Learn to become bigger than your emotional reactions. Understand they're just emotions. If you can't separate who you are from how you feel, then you're always going to be at the mercy of somebody else being able to push a button that's going to release a chemical that shows up as a feeling that you're then going to run off an automated pattern, just like somebody taking out a DVD and pressing play. No choice in the matter. It's an automated response. Someone calls you an asshole, you respond. Oh, how dare you call me? Mm-hmm. Someone calls me an asshole. I'm curious as to why somebody would be, who doesn't clearly know me, get so frustrated in their own model of the world they have to project it on people that they don't know with such levels of judgment. Wow, how grateful am I that I'm not them? I'm bigger than my emotional responses, and that's the first step towards emotional maturity.
Okay.
And if you want the next step, be okay not being liked.
Okay.
Most people are running around looking for somewhere else to replug in their umbilical cord because they're so desperate for connection, because they don't have enough self-love, because they never got it as the child from the people they wanted it from most. That's a whole different podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But learn to be bigger than your emotions and become okay in the space of not being liked. Otherwise, you can't be authentic. because you're going to be trying to adapt yourself to fit everybody else's approval strategy or connection strategy and what you think will match their pictures so that they'll approve of you. You can't live your own life that way. The paradox is, as soon as you let go of that, more people start to like you because they wish they were like you because you're authentic.
Amazing. And then it's like a wrap up. It's easy to think about my physical health. It's easy to think about my mental health, but there are things outside of that sphere that might be called overall wellness. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before we wrap things up today?
Well, the highest level is, again, it's all labels, because the mind is a label machine to try to understand or conceptualize stuff you can't conceptualize, such as consciousness. Yeah, you are not your body, you have a body. You are not your mind, you have a mind. But at the time where the mind is silent and still, but you're in awe of a sunset, you show up. Who is that you? You're the player in the game. You're the guy holding the joystick, not the character on the screen. That's what we call consciousness. 13-letter word that's the hard problem of science they'll never solve, because they're still trying to follow an outdated Newtonian paradigm of thinking that the brain creates it. Well, A, it's a virtual brain, but B, no, it doesn't. The brain doesn't create consciousness any more than a television creates and produces programs.
Okay, yeah.
You are inhabiting this avatar in this physicality with phenomenal precision. But when you go to sleep at night, you're now accessing a different data stream where you are just as real. Yeah, your physical body tune channel that you're into right now is not there. You're in a different data stream. You're in a different reality frame. But you're still you. So work on you. Once you love you, not your body, who cares? That's going to change. Trust me, you got a different body now than when you're 5 and then when you're going to be 95. Yeah, deal with it. Don't be attached to what you think it looks like because you need approval from other people. All right. But when it comes to, I train because I want to train this body to be healthy enough to carry this consciousness around in this incredible journey called Pete's movie. But what it looks like, I'm not fussed. I'm not attached, because I'm dealing with your projection of what you think is right or wrong, good or bad, favorable or unfavorable, and I can't control that, so why worry about it? Yeah. But learn how to become a higher version of your own consciousness. Raising consciousness is the game that we're in ultimately. Some people, they don't want to play it. That's cool. Next time around. But they'll have feedback.
Amazing. Pete, before we go, thank you again for being with us today. If someone's listened to this and they're not super keen to find out more about Peter Sage and listen to more of what you've got to say or read more of what you've got to say, then they'll probably find different podcasts to listen to other than this one after today. But I've had an awesome time. Where do you recommend people find you? What's the big thing that you're passionate about right now? How can people connect with Peter Sage after today?
The fastest, easiest, cheapest way is, as you say, get the inside track. I'm giving it away. Just help me cover some of the shipping. And that is a game changer. It's a manual for life. It's some of my best work in print. And it is a toolbox on how to basically deal with anything that's out there in your life that shows up as a challenge while becoming the best version of yourself you can be.
Amazing. To the next time, thank you so much for being on with us. Peter, take care. Thank you.
Pleasure's mine, Dan. Keep doing what you're doing.
This is Dan Ball from Wellness Academy. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. You'll find a link on the episode notes. Just tap or swipe over the cover art. You'll also see some offers from our sponsor, Lichfield Apart Hotel. Find them at lichfieldaparthotel.com, and we hope you'll support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've heard, we'd love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe. Another way to support us is to answer a short survey at yourwellnessacademy.co.uk/survey and tell us what wellness topics you'd like to hear about. I'm your host, Dan Ball. Our producer is Scott Towns, created by our executive producer, Ben Heathcote for Wellness Academy.